The L button is one of the most underrated buttons on a controller. Think about it. D-pads, face buttons, joysticks, these all come standard on almost every controller. But what if you had a controller that had an R button, but no L button? It would feel naked and wrong. Heck, the GameCube having a Z button on the right and nothing on the left made me feel ripped off. Like, why is this so unbalanced? Why are we just completely ignoring one side of the controller? The Super Nintendo was the first controller to introduce the L button. It was kinda cool, honestly. It rests in a spot that feels so comfortable. Your hands naturally want to rest there. And the clicking of it is unlike any sensation that was out there at the time. But let's get serious now. In reality, what was the L button used for back in the day? In Super Mario World, you could kind of move the camera, I think. Well, okay, that's kinda useless. Why the heck would I ever need to do that? Donkey Kong Country, I don't even remember ever touching the L button. The only game from my childhood I remember specifically using the L button as its primary form of gameplay was Paperboy. Yeah, throwing the paper was pretty convenient with that. Games at the time just weren't ready for the power of the L button. They were pretty simple and didn't need that many buttons. The Nintendo 64 also had an L button, and now, having a console focus on 3D, you'd think that the shoulder buttons would play much more of an important role. The controller as a whole felt weird in your hands. The D-pad being secluded all the way to the left while the joystick was in the middle meant that your hands were always on the R button and the Z button, once again neglecting that ever so important L button. First-person shooters were becoming more prominent in these times, so the L button started to get more love and attention. The button also presses down nicely. Nothing too special though. Now you want to talk about a controller that loves the L button, the PlayStation controller has two of them! Yeah, two L buttons! And one of them is bigger than the other. These buttons were respectively labeled as L1 and L2. Again, these buttons were mainly used in first-person shooters as either your secondary weapons like grenades and aiming down the sights, while the R button, which we're not focusing on today, would be the button used to actually shoot, which I always found kind of weird. Like, what if you're left-handed? Wouldn't it be more comfortable to use the L button for shooting? Why does the R button get all the special treatment? Dick. Now, if we're talking about personal favorite L buttons, then the GameCube has to take the cake. That L button is so springy. It feels so satisfying to press down. And the noise it makes? Perfection. And the GameCube knows it's special, because none of the other buttons make that kind of noise. Again, I can't remember too many GameCube games that use the L button. I guess Smash Bros for blocking. I don't know, I'll find any excuse to hear that springing sound though. The Wii Remote didn't have an L button, probably making it the worst controller of all time. However, it had the classic remote that came with it, and wouldn't you know, yeah, it's got the same sound as the GameCube's L button. They knew that they had a winner. The Xbox also had two L buttons that were pretty unique. One was a traditional button, while the other was a trigger. Again, primarily used in first-person shooters. From here on out though, the L button would kind of stagnate, going with that two-button setup with one being small and the other being large. It's an okay layout, but I really would like to see some kind of innovation with the L button in the future. You know, bring back the springiness of the GameCube era or something like that. A good L button, along with an R button I guess, needs to have a satisfying look, sound, and feel. A triforce of perfection, if you will. But, wait. Why the hell did I make this stupid video?